I don't care what you think Wolf Hall has told you. Thomas Cromwell was absolutely and certainly behind the destruction of Anne Boleyn. I don't know why you think that. That's because there are multiple documented resources that report that Anne Boleyn had a huge falling out with Thomas Cromwell about 2 weeks before her arrest. Oh my goodness, why would that be? That's because a few weeks before her arrest and eventual trial and execution, Anne Boleyn found out that Sir Thomas Cromwell here, along with Henry VIII, had decided to keep everything that they were taking from the dissolution of the monasteries. Now, why is that important? That's because initially the dissolution of the monasteries was supposed to be about reform. It was supposed to be about taking these distorted, right, awful segments of the churches who were not doing what they were supposed to in medieval England, which was educating the poor, feeding the poor, taking care of their needs if they were sick, like in hospitals. That's right. Anne Boleyn and the other reformists who were a part of the English political force at the time believed that the church at the time was not doing right. They were stealing from the people, and they were supposed to be reformed. And when they were reformed, those assets were supposed to be brought back to the people. Those places that were reformed in the church were supposed to educate the poor, feed the poor, take care of the poor. But it actually turned out that Cromwell was helping Henry VIII just keep all those assets. They weren't giving them back to the people. They were not reforming the church in any significant way. They weren't making sure that these little churches in these parishes were opening hospitals that cared for the wounds and the sickness of the poor. They were not reopening the chapels that educated the poor of England. No. What happened with this Reformation, the dissolution of the monasteries, which Thomas Cromwell helped to brainpower, they were not about reform. They were actually about keeping and hoarding all of that wealth for not only Cromwell here, who kept all these lands and properties to hand them out to his favorites, it also went straight into the coffers of Henry VIII. And that's why Anne Boleyn was a threat that had to be executed, because a few weeks before her arrest and eventual trial and execution, she had discovered that the dissolution of the monasteries was all about hoarding the wealth, and she threatened Cromwell openly for it. Even her dire enemy, Eustace Chapuis, said there was a confrontation between Anne the Queen and Sir Thomas Cromwell in which she threatened his life. So what happened next? In a speedy 2 weeks between this confrontation, suddenly Anne Boleyn was arrested for treason, along with her brother, who was the most astute political threat, and a bunch of other people who clearly had nothing to do with her. And that's why on this day, despite all fans of Wolf Hall, I like to remember what a sniveling, conniving rat, a greedy, selfish rat Thomas Cromwell was. Look at his face. Look at his face in a contemporary painting. You can tell what he is. So today and every day, I like to remember Anne Boleyn, a true face of humanism and reformation that was direly needed historically in England. And I like to remember the fact that he was not this soft, respectable man that Wolf Hall wants you to believe he was. Thomas Cromwell was a conniving opportunist. And to remember him as anything but, doesn't do his execution justice. So Thomas, wherever you're at, I hope you're burning in a lake of gold, buddy. You deserved what you got.